In this ChatGPT tutorial, you will go from beginner to advanced, and we will start step by step, beginning with account creation, to using ChatGPT in everyday life, to mistakes that you should avoid, all the way to prompt engineering for beginners. Of course, you can skip ahead with the timestamps down below, but let's get started now. Okay, first you go to chat.openai.com and then you'll get to this login page. I'll also leave a link to that in the description. Now you can log in or sign up, and of course we want to sign up now. If you click on it, you get to this page where you can create your account. Now you can sign up with a Google or with a Microsoft account, but let's type in a new email address and make a new account. If you click continue, you will get here where you can set your password. Now let's do that real quick. Alright, and once your password is set, you click continue as well, and you'll get to this next page, and here he'll tell you that you need to verify your email that you just signed up with. So let's go to the email right now. Alright, here we are. Now you of course just click on verify email address, and when you've done that, you will be automatically forwarded to this page. And here you just set your name when you log in for the first time. And after you've done that, one last step is to make a two-step verification with your phone number. So you just type in your phone number, then you'll get sent a code that you can verify with. You just click on send code, of course. And then you enter the code, and then after that you'll finally be in ChatGPT and ready to ask your first question. Alright, and here we are. Now here on top you see a few things that you can read through. Here there are examples like got any creative ideas for a 10-year-old birthday and things like that. Then you have way more important capabilities. Remembers what user said earlier in the conversation. Allows user to provide follow-up corrections. And train to decline inappropriate requests. And then you have limitations, and that's very important. May occasionally generate incorrect information. May occasionally produce harmful instructions or biased content, be aware of that, and limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. And aside from that, you have the small menu here over at the side where you can also choose dark mode, which I will do right now because I like it much more. Alright, and down here you can now simply type in whatever you want. And here at the side you then just click send when you are finished with your instructions. So let's go ahead and make our first prompt. Let's just start with please give me a few ideas on how a beginner can start to use ChatGPT in everyday life and see what it gives us. And you can see ChatGPT immediately writing out the answer to our question, coming up with a few points like personal journaling and decision making. You can pause it and read it if you want to. Down there you also see the stop generating button. If you click that, GPT stops and you can ask a different question. Good, it's finished, and let's say it's not exactly what we want. Then we can just type in down here, please edit the answer into shorter bullet points and see what it gives us. Alright, ChatGPT takes a bit longer to generate that, and sometimes the server is completely full and then it takes very long and you don't get even in. But you see it generates shorter, more precise bullet points of the same answers it just gave us above. Another thing you can do is just down here click regenerate response, and it will rewrite the response and give you another answer. Now it will be the same here because it's the same bullet points, just a little bit rewritten, but just so you know it exists. And then up there you can click on this arrow and toggle between the answers that you got. Another thing you can do is ask ChatGPT about books. Now remember, it's just up to 2021. So for example, I'm thinking about buying the book 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. Please give me a brief summary of the book and tell me whom the book is for. And let's see what it generates. Now that I see this, I might say, that sounds interesting. What are these habits about? So let's just ask ChatGPT. Please briefly summarize every habit. And we can of course also ask to please summarize the whole book. Another fun thing you can do is ask ChatGPT to help you come up with recipe ideas. And you can give just whatever you have at home and see what ChatGPT gives you. Now let's just put a couple of random stuff in here and see what ChatGPT gives us. So we have olives, potatoes, flour, milk, pickles, carrots and yogurt. So let's see what comes out. Olive and potato salad, okay. Pickle and olive pizza, okay. You can see ChatGPT is starting to use some ingredients that we didn't give, like water, yeast. Well, you can assume you have water there, but maybe not yeast. So let's refine that a bit. So let's get clearer and say only use the mentioned ingredients, spices, and nothing else. And there we go. Well, I think that's a very good way to use it for beginners for the nights when you are in front of your fridge and you have no idea what to eat. Then maybe just ask ChatGPT next time. And the last thing that I want to mention here is fun things that you can do. Just tell ChatGPT to be a story-based video game in whatever setting you want. And tell him to give you different options to choose from, A, B, C, D. And then see what ChatGPT comes up with. Now, some of the stories are pretty boring, but sometimes I had some very interesting interactions. So yeah, go play with it, make your first prompt, and just have fun with it. Let's look at a few more things that you can do with ChatGPT, especially when it comes to everyday life situations and use cases. And one of the first things you can do when you start using ChatGPT is to utilize this menu up here. As you can see, you can continue, clarify, exemplify, expand, explain, rewrite, shorten, or tweetify. This can be a very helpful starting point and also definitely shows the importance of follow-up prompts. But let's test this and just type in, please write me a text about how to use AI in everyday life. And then you get your output. You see here GPT makes a quick explanation and then makes 6 distinct points, but maybe you want more, so click on please continue. And you see GPT goes on with point 7 and writes even more. But maybe that was way too much now and we are too late to read everything, so let's click on shorten. And as you can see, ChatGPT takes its work serious and really gets shortened to one small paragraph. And maybe now you think, hey, that sounds great, let's tweetify that. And ChatGPT gives you a tweet that you can use right away, even with a hashtag. But maybe that's all too vague, so let's exemplify that. And ChatGPT exemplifies it in a version of a tweet. So this new menu is definitely great for beginners, and especially the tweetifying is something I really like, because you can come up with dozens of tweets in a very short time. Another great thing you can do is to use ChatGPT as your proofreader for spelling and grammar mistakes. So let's just use the text that I use for my coaching business. You put it in quotation marks as I did, and then let's just say, please proofread the above text for any spelling and grammar mistakes and correct them. Give me a bullet point list of all the changes you made. And there you go. Well, some of this is not necessarily relevant to me, as this is an Instagram caption and is written in a specific way, but you can definitely pick up on some mistakes and errors that you make. And maybe you feel like your text is not quite what you want, but you cannot get the exact style, so just ask ChatGPT to do it and say, please rewrite it in a conversational tone. And always keep the importance of follow-up questions and prompts in mind, because remember, ChatGPT remembered what you said and what you have done before. So maybe now you want to say, please rewrite this text in the style of a Pulitzer Prize winner. And you can pause and see the tone that he is taking now, but it's very, very sophisticated. And maybe you want to produce even more content, so let's just say, elaborate on the information and create a part 2 of that text. So you can see you can really do a lot with follow-up prompts and create content and change things in a matter of seconds. Now this maybe gets a little bit too complicated what he's writing here, so let's just say make it easy to understand at the level of the 2nd grade. And there you go, well, it's very easy to understand now. Another use case is to let ChatGPT write messages or emails for you. Well, I think letting ChatGPT write your emails probably takes more time than just writing them yourself, but if it's something that's very uncomfortable to say for you, or you are not quite sure about how to formulate something, then you can for sure use it as inspiration. So let's say your boss writes you an email to stay longer at work. you have something planned with your spouse and you're not quite sure what to say, how to deny it. So let's just ask ChatGPT to do that in a polite and friendly way. And there you go. Well, that doesn't even sound too bad. But again, use it as inspiration. Sometimes you can use the whole text, but it really shines when you use this kind of things as inspiration for yourself. And again, especially when you struggle with formulating something or not quite sure how to express yourself, ChatGPT can really help you with good ideas. Going back to good ideas, ChatGPT can really help you with a lot of things and can give you a lot of inspiration. So, for example, maybe your father's birthday is coming up and you are not quite sure what to give them. So let's just ask ChatGPT for a few ideas. And you can definitely use some of these as inspiration. And again, never forget the power of follow-up questions. So just specify what your father likes or what he does in his life a little bit more. So let's do that and say he is usually dealing with a lot of stress, he is into science, and he loves a good coffee. And see what comes up now. And the ideas get way more specific, as you can see. And remember, you can add even more details. This can be a great source of inspiration for a lot of different things that you maybe think about. So you can just generally use ChatGPT as your personal assistant and ask it all kinds of questions that are going on in your mind. Another great thing you can do is to use ChatGPT to summarize articles if you really cannot be bothered to read them but want the information, or maybe you don't have that much time. So let's test that and go to this article here about AGI and just copy the whole article. Well, maybe the whole article is a little bit long, ChatGPT cannot handle that many tokens, so let's just copy half of it to begin with. Then we go back here, put the article in quotation marks and say, please give me a bullet point summary of the most important information in the article. And there you go, no need to read the whole article anymore, which I did anyways, by the way. But yeah, let's go back to the site, copy the second half and summarize that as well. Putting it in quotation marks, and then please summarize this article in bullet points. There you go, this can save you a ton of time. And of course, you cannot just summarize articles, but also books. So let's test that and tell ChatGPT, please give me a summary of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Man, this would have spared me from reading a lot of boring books in my school days. And just to be clear, I'm not saying don't read your books. I'm just saying if you want to cheat, at least do it right. Which is why we of course want to learn more about the book. So let's say, please give me the 10 main ideas in bullet points. And this is just freaking awesome. You can absorb so much information with this. And you can use this to decide if a book is really worth diving deeper into it. I think I'm going to use this a lot. So let's say point 7 sounds very interesting. So let's just tell ChatGPT to please elaborate on point number 7. All of the information out of the book sounds great, so let's just tell ChatGPT to please give me 3 practical steps that I can implement starting today. Practice gratitude, start a meditation practice and challenge negative self-talk. Definitely good tips. Actually, just let me say one thing real quick to this thing here. I'm not good enough, replace that with the thought I am capable and deserving of success. If you use affirmations like this, it can be helpful, but often you still have this voice inside of your mind that says, no, I don't believe that. I am not capable, I am not deserving of success. And deep down your subconscious doesn't believe that you are. And using affirmations like this will make them very ineffective. Instead, you maybe want to try, in the past I used to believe that I'm not good enough, but now I am so grateful for the fact that I'm working on changing that. Way more believable for yourself and your subconscious in many cases. So just a quick shout out to my coaching business at this point. Maybe you want to check out my other YouTube channel, the link is probably down in the description. Another great way to use ChatGPT for beginners, which I also use a lot, to help you come up with YouTube titles, headlines for articles, email subjects or things like that. Let's just ask ChatGPT to come up with 10 ideas for my monthly mental health newsletter. We just elaborate on the topic a little bit more. It's about taking responsibility for yourself and your healing and focusing on yourself and not on external circumstances. And sometimes you can use these right away or you refine them even more and of course use them as starting point for your own inspiration. Good, now that you know some basic things about ChatGPT and some everyday life use cases, let's look at some common mistakes that I see people making all the time. Who here remembers the old days of Google, when it just started? Anyone? Back then we also didn't really know how to use Google to get the best search results possible. Well, I definitely didn't. And while it seems very simple today, there was definitely a small learning curve when it comes to typing in the right input into Google, the right question, so that we get the best output and the answer that we were looking for. And this learning curve is definitely way steeper with AI and ChatGPT. If your prompt isn't any good, your answer won't be any good either. So let's have a look at the 4 biggest mistakes I see people making that prevent them from getting great answers with ChatGPT. The first one is not being specific enough. Let's say we want help with our YouTube channel. So instead of asking ChatGPT, help me to get more views on my YouTube channel, ask something way more specific. For example, something like, please help me to create very curiosity-invoking, highly clickable visual concepts for YouTube thumbnails. Or something like, please help me to create intriguing YouTube titles that have a high chance of ranking in search. If you don't specify what you want, ChatGPT has to guess and will give you a very generic answer. The second mistake directly correlates with this one, and it's that people don't give enough context when asking their questions. If you ask ChatGPT a question without context, the answer will likely not apply to your situation. There's a huge difference between asking for very curiosity-invoking, highly clickable visual concepts for YouTube thumbnails, or asking for a YouTube thumbnail concept for a video about the do's and don'ts when using ChatGPT that should be curiosity-invoking and highly clickable. The video is mainly for beginners who just started using ChatGPT. The quality of your output will vary dramatically if you give the right and enough context. This applies for basically everything that you want to know. You want to create a new meal plan? Well, how does your nutrition look like? Are there foods that you don't eat, foods that you want to eat? Are you keto, vegan, whatever it is? Give the right context. You want a workout plan? Well, what muscle groups do you want to focus on? Are you an expert or a novice just starting out? Always remember context. Giving the right context and being specific are 2 of the most important things when it comes to prompting. To make clear what I mean, let's ask ChatGPT to water our plants correctly. Of course, a broad question that can never get the right answer for our situation. So let's put it into context and tell it that the plant is inside and it's summertime. Better results? But not quite there yet. So let's also be specific and tell ChatGPT that the plant is an aloe vera and that we want a rough watering frequency. And let's see how different the answer is if we tell ChatGPT that the plant is basil. And yes, these are literally the 2 plants that I have. The next mistake can definitely cause some problems, so be sure that you don't believe everything ChatGPT says. It's trained on a very large data set and definitely knows a lot of stuff about a lot of things, but not everything. And it makes mistakes. And it will be very confidently telling you that it's right. I think one problem is that many people maybe interact with ChatGPT a little bit more like it would be a human. Not if they would interact with Google where they type something in, but even then they take everything that they find on Google on the first page as the truth and at face value. So I wonder how much worse this is going to get with misinformation in ChatGPT. And that's probably also a very huge abuse potential and real danger that we are facing when it comes to AI. Let's look at this example. Now, of course, I asked the question biased. I asked, why are nuclear power plants so bad when it comes to land use? But if nuclear power plants are not bad for one thing, then it is land use. Like, you can say many things, but they don't use a lot of land. But you see the answer from ChatGPT. And conversely, when you ask biased in the other direction, why are wind power plants so good when it comes to land use, it will tell you everything why it's so good. And when you can say one thing about wind power plants is that they are horrible when it comes to land use. So definitely always be aware that ChatGPT makes mistakes and that content may be biased. But going back to prompting, the next big mistake that I see people making is that they are not tweaking their prompts. When working with ChatGPT, you should constantly tweak and work on your prompts as you go along to get better output. And hopefully it comes very intuitive to most of you, but when asking something like, please give me a summary of the 7 habits of highly effective people, you maybe realize that it's not quite what you want, so you tweak your prompt until you get the output you wanted. For example, please summarize every habit in the 7 habits of highly effective people with a few short bullet points. Or refining it even further with, please summarize every habit in the 7 habits of highly effective people with 3 main bullet points and 1 action step I can take right away. You should always tweak and adjust your prompts, but now that you know the most common mistakes, let's get a little bit more advanced here. And let's look at how you can create amazing prompts for yourself that generate fantastic output. Let's look at prompt engineering for beginners. When I first heard the words prompt engineering, I thought that this is a skill I cannot require, because it sounded like it's solely for experts. And the words prompt engineering for ChatGPT can sound quite intimidating when you are a beginner, but it's actually quite simple, at least when you look at the basics, which is all you really need as a beginner. So let's look at how you can make better prompts to get 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, whatever. Everybody is exaggerating when it comes to AI, so 1,000 times better output than before. The first thing you want to understand when you put something into ChatGPT is that you're using building blocks. What do I mean by that? Let's say you ask ChatGPT, please come up with 5 plot ideas for a dystopian book where humans are completely controlled by a secret government that turns out to be AI. And you can look at it like this. If you put it in building blocks, you have a command, please come up with different plot ideas, a number, 5, and then details about the prompt. Okay, great, but so what? How does that help you to come up with a better prompt? When we keep thinking about it like building blocks, we are actually almost halfway there when it comes to prompt engineering. And let me give you a super simple example that I use all the time. Role, details about prompt. That's it, really just these 2 building blocks. Maybe you have heard it before, but giving ChatGPT a specific role can be very, very powerful. For example, if you want help with your YouTube channel, give it the role of a YouTube channel expert. You can basically give it every role that you want. You are a fitness trainer. You are a marketing expert. You are a world famous author of science fiction novels. So now that we have defined the role, let's look at the details. And in my mind, there are always 2 things that you need for a good prompt. And these 2 things are giving context and being specific about what you want. So you can look at it like this. So the details about the prompt are really split into context about the prompt and specify what you want. So let's for example say, you are a YouTube thumbnail expert. Please help me to come up with visual concepts for YouTube thumbnails that are very intriguing and highly clickable for a video about prompt engineering in ChatGPT. Congratulations! Now you know what prompt engineering actually is. Well, of course we'll get a little bit more in depth, but understanding this building block principle at least helped me quite a bit. Now, when we look at our answer, one thing you should always do is ask yourself, is this what I actually wanted? Or do I need to refine my prompt to get even better output? And when I read through this answer, I definitely want something a little bit different. So let me refine the prompt and give more details. And always remember to give context and be specific. Alright, and since ChatGPT remembers the conversation, you can just keep on asking. So let's say, The video is mainly for beginners who just get into using AI. Provide me with 10 different visual concepts and describe in detail how they look like and what elements would intrigue the viewer to click on it. Alright, this already looks much better and closer to what I wanted. But depending on what you use ChatGPT for, you might need a few different building blocks than this. So let's get into something else. Let's say you want to use ChatGPT to learn something. They use it as an example up here, so let's get into quantum computing. Remember to start with the role and then give context and be specific about what you want. So let's say you are an expert in the field of quantum computing with 10 years of experience. Please give me a general overview of what quantum computing is and also explain the main use cases and potential dangers. And this output may be way too complicated for you, so let's think about another building block that we could add here. So let's look at our building blocks again. We have the role, then we have details about prompt, split into giving context and being specific. And then, as another building block at the end, let's add simplify. At least for now. We are going to refine this a little bit in just a moment. So now let's say you are an expert in the field of quantum computing with 10 years of experience. Please give me a general overview of what quantum computing is and also explain the main use cases and potential dangers. Explain it at the level of a second grader. And as you can see, it's way easier to understand. But let's think about for a second here what that actually is when we tell ChatGPT to simplify something. What we are really doing here is we are telling ChatGPT to write something in a specific communication or writing style. So you could also say, for example, you are an expert in the field of quantum computing with 10 years of experience. Please give me a general overview of what quantum computing is and also explain the main use cases and potential dangers. Give me 5 bullet points for each. So that would be a different writing style. And of course you can stack them on top of each other, but this is our new building block. So now we have our role, details about the prompt, and then the communication or writing style. Let's look at another example. You are a YouTube video expert with 10 years of experience in making highly engaging video scripts that people can't stop watching. Please provide me with a video script for a video about the dangers of artificial intelligence and potential problems the development of better AI could lead to in the future. The video is for beginners, so the script should be written in a style that is easy to understand with examples and fun analogies. And as you can see, it gets a bit too long here for ChatGPT, so what you do then is you just type continue. So looking at it, it's starting to get a little bit messy, but that's okay because the point is to understand that you need to use these different blocks. So you have your role, you have the details about prompt with being specific and giving context, and you have a writing style in there. And this is how you generally want to think about your prompts when creating or engineering them. And of course you can exchange these building blocks however you want. It's not important that you write the details before the communication style or that you follow any particular order. And of course you can also add multiple communication styles on top of each other. For example, an article at the level of a second grader. But when having these building blocks in your mind, you always know what needs to be in your prompt to get good output. I hope prompt engineering just got a lot simpler for you and you can see how you can really get better output by thinking about what exactly it is that you want from ChatGPT. Let's add one more building block that is insanely useful, and for that let's go back to our prompt that we just did. And now we simply say, you are a YouTube expert with 10 years of experience in making highly engaging video scripts that people can't stop watching. Please provide me with a video script for a video about the dangers of artificial intelligence and potential problems the development of better AI could lead to in the future. The video is for beginners, so the script should be written in a style that is easy to understand with examples and fun analogies. And now we add, don't start writing anything before you haven't asked me more detailed questions about the script and what I want, so you can make sure to write the best script possible. So now our building blocks look like this. You give a role, then you give details about the prompt by giving context and being specific. Then you give a communication or writing style, and then you add a refining question at the end. And this refining question can really help you to get the exact answer that you want, because ChatGPT will ask you what it still needs. Like this, you also don't generate endless output that is actually useless. If you're still unsure how to write great prompts to get exactly what you want, why not just ask ChatGPT itself to write the prompt for you? And this is exactly what we are going to do right now. Just as a quick interlude, what are your main struggles with ChatGPT? Could this video already help you? Let me know in the comments. But now let's look at one of the most powerful prompts that you can use when it comes to ChatGPT. When it comes to ChatGPT, the quality of your output depends directly on the quality of the input. So you want to make sure that your prompts are good and you spend some time thinking about them. But what if instead of thinking about a prompt, you let ChatGPT itself give you a great prompt? Let's jump right into it and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, in order to get a great prompt for whatever topic we want, we now simply write this. Act as a personal assistant to come up with the best ChatGPT prompt for my question. We will work together to create the best prompt that will give me the absolute best answer that ChatGPT can provide. For that, I'm going to tell you the topic I want a prompt for, and you will come up with the best possible prompt I could ask ChatGPT, and also ask me 3 questions to further refine the prompt and make it even better. I will answer the questions, and you will go through the same process of giving me the refined prompt and asking me 3 new questions to refine it even more. This process will keep going until I am satisfied. Do you understand? And don't worry, I will leave the exact prompt in the pinned comment so you don't have to type that up. Alright, now that we have hired ChatGPT as our prompt engineer, let's see how good that works. And let's say I'd like a prompt that gives me ideas for different YouTube thumbnail concepts for a video about the most powerful prompt you can ask ChatGPT. And as you can see, it's giving us the initial prompt that we can use and then also asks 3 questions that we can use to further refine that prompt until it is what we are looking for. And let's answer the questions real quick to further refine our prompt. And of course, it's also okay to just say no and wait for better and other questions. And as you can see, we get the refined prompt based on the questions and 3 new questions to refine the prompt even further. But I think we don't need that. Let's just go with what we have. What we do is we are just going to copy this prompt up here that ChatGPT gave us. And then we open a new chat right there. And we just paste the prompt in here. And let's see what ChatGPT gives us. I'll just speed that up. And as you can see, it's coming up with 5 different visual concepts of thumbnails that I could create and use for my video. And of course, if you want more, you can always just write, give me 5 more. And there we go. We will see if I use one of these ideas for the thumbnail of this video, or if I refine it even further, but this is exactly how I would do it. Now let's test another example. So let's just open a new chat. We paste our prompt in here. And let's just say I want a prompt to help me develop a strategy to become financially independent and see what we get. Alright, as you can see, a very broad general prompt, probably not of much of a value. So let's answer the questions and refine it even more to create something useful. You can pause and read that, but I'm basically just saying that I don't have any capital to invest, I want to work online, and I don't want to focus on any motivation, I just want practical tips to accumulate more finances. And I keep that going for a few more cycles for better refinement and to give ChatGPT a better understanding of what I actually want. So I speed that up, and in the end we come to an online self-development mental health business, and I'll just copy the prompt and let's see what we get there. Alright, and as you can see, it's a very broad answer. That's because we haven't been specific, so ChatGPT is giving us several options that we can choose from. And really a lot of options. So we can go more in depth, more in detail into all of these options. We can use the same prompt generating templates that you have, or you can just ask ChatGPT to elaborate further on the different points. And like this, you can let ChatGPT generate great prompts for any topics that you want to learn more about and get very good output. As you've seen, you can really create amazing prompts for everything that you want. And with what you've learned in this video, I'm sure you can generate fantastic output for yourself. Always keep in mind that ChatGPT is a tool. Don't use whatever output you get blindly. Think about it, refine it, tweak it, and adjust it for yourself. ChatGPT especially shines when it comes to giving you ideas about things. It's not of the level of an adult human being yet. And the most important thing when it comes to using ChatGPT is always the user. It's always you. But what if AIs actually get to the level of a human intelligence-wise, or even beyond? And what if they are not friendly? Check out this video over here to learn more about the dangers of AI.